If I told you Trish Stratus would return to Monday Night Raw and spar on the microphone with Elias, ultimately culminating in Trish Stratus smacking the shit out of Elias. If I told you we'd get to see Stone Cold Steve Austin in some capacity cutting a promo hyping up Triple H and Undertaker. If I told you that after a fantastic match between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, that Owens would actually quit WWE storyline-wise. If I told you that Braun Strowman would hand over that Money in the Bank lunchbox to Constipated Corbin and say, I'm just going to face Roman Reigns head up at Hell in a Cell, and then later that night in a tag match, turn heel, join forces with McIntyre and Ziggler and beat the shit out of Roman Reigns. If I told you all of that happened under one Monday Night Raw, you'd say pretty decent Raw, right? And you'd be correct. But there's always that one absolute moron out there that has his fingers ready to go on the keyboard, and they're ready to start typing, BC, didn't watch the video yet, but this Raw was absolute trash. It was repulsive, BC. Hey, BC, this Raw, like the last 15 years, BC, this was boring AF, BC, boring AF. BC, what a tragic Raw this was, BC. No, it was not. I've seen tragic Raws, trust me. Is it where I would like it to be? Definitely not. Am I going to be vocal about where it should be? Absolutely. Have I ever fucking steered away from that way of thinking before? No. But when they do things correctly, I'm going to say they did things correctly. When they do things that are entertaining, I'm going to say they did things that were entertaining. To me, at least. Trish Stratus, middle of the ring with Elias, period, is entertaining. Doesn't really matter what happens after that. That's just entertaining. We just happen to have gotten an entertaining segment, thankfully. Owens and Rollins, fantastic match, and then Owens just saying, hey, I'm done? That's pretty intriguing. So I got entertaining between Trish and Elias, and then I get intriguing with Kevin Owens. And then we get the fucking wonderment of this whole Braun Strowman deal. A lot of people like this Braun Strowman. They think he should have been heel all along. He doesn't fit as a face. And then there's people that say he was going fine as a face. He should have never turned heel. He was too hot. There's people on both sides of the fence. But that's the sense of wonderment. The bottom line is going to be Roman and Braun inside of a Hell in a Cell is going to be absolutely fucking epic. Because we already know they beat the shit out of each other whenever they face each other. There's just that chemistry. And I fucking love that. But if you didn't like it, that's fine. If you literally cannot find one good part of the entire show, that is the only time I will ever, because you guys know I hate this, don't watch it, BC. You're always so negative with the show. No, I'm not negative. What I am is I'm calling out all the bullshit. There just happens to be a shitload of it every week. But if you literally cannot find one good thing from last night, you didn't like the wrestling match between Owens and Rollins. You didn't like the story where they're going with Owens afterwards, quitting. You didn't like Trish returning. You didn't like the segment between Trish and Elias. You didn't like Braun Strowman turning heel. You didn't like seeing Roman Reigns get the shit kicked out of him. You didn't like any of it. Then that is the only time I will honestly tell you guys, I think it's time to pack your shit, as Trish Stratus told Elias last night, and walk away. I really do. If you watch every single week and you never can find any good, you have to stop watching at that point, because it is no longer watching out of habit and hope, which is what we've been doing for years. Habit, because that's what we've done for so many years. We tune in on Monday nights. That's what we do. And hope, hoping that WWE finds and rekindles that passion that it once had. So we always watch out of habit and hope. But what keeps us tuning in is because we know they do good, because we see little traces of it every week. But when you stop finding traces of good, when you watch an entire Raw and you literally can just type the entire show sucked, that, my friend, is when you have just... you've reached the peak for pro wrestling, and that's okay. People reach the peak of certain things. I know a lot of people that watch Grey's Anatomy for like 8, 9 seasons, but once that 9th or 10th season came around, it just wasn't the same anymore. The characters were not the same. The storylines were too different. It got a little out of hand, and they had to stop watching it. I know people that stopped watching King of Queens after 4 or 5 seasons. They just reached their peak with it. Sopranos, which was badass every single season, but I know some people that stopped watching after 3. They just got their fix. That was enough. They moved on. It's okay. You don't have to feel like you're losing a child. You don't have to feel like you're moving away from college and moving away from your family and friends and it's got to get all teary-eyed and emotional. Just walk away. Because why would you tune into something every week if you literally are not entertained at all? I just had to get that spiel out there, guys, because I know every time I say there's good things on a Raw, I get the fucking idiots that don't even watch the video. They got their fingers loaded and they're ready. I'm ready to type on a new Raw video. Oop, BC just uploaded. 6 seconds into the video and we already got Raw was tragic. What a shitty show. What did they do to Braun? Let the video play out. Really think about the whole Raw in general. Did we want to change things? Did we want to see more? Could it have been even more entertaining, more fun, more intriguing? Of course. I can always have more cupcakes. I can always have more birthday cake. I can always have more pasta. When I'm at the restaurant and they give me this little fucking dish that I just paid $60 for, how about you give me the other 90% of that dish? We always want more, more, more. But what we got last night, I thought it was a decent fucking Raw for a post-SummerSlam Raw, 2 weeks removed, 2 Raws removed. There's nothing really for the rest of August. The next pay-per-view is middle of September. You're in the middle of summer here, and that's when WWE kind of drags. Going into September, Vince McMahon will tell you best. Chris Jericho told a funny story when he mentioned All In to Vince McMahon, Cody Rhodes, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, their whole thing that they're doing. Chris Jericho actually mentioned that to Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon said, I wish you would have told me earlier. I would have told them that September is a bitch to promote. So he was kind of making a joke out of it. He would have told Cody Rhodes, hey, you don't want to hold an event in September because it's a bitch to promote. Now, obviously, WWE has to put on a pay-per-view every month, so they have Hell in a Cell middle of September, but that's why you have Hell in a Cell. You have to try to get this epic pay-per-view concept to kind of captivate people to your product. That's why you get Hell in a Cell, such a big event. Or such a big fucking type of match anyway, Hell in a Cell. Because Vince McMahon knows September is a horrible fucking time. After SummerSlam, WWE kind of drags for several weeks. Going into Survivor Series at least. I mean, you're going into October even. It's kind of But then at least people have settled into school. And then Monday nights, they're just kind of flicking through TV. So October picks up again slightly. November is really good, obviously. Winter time, November, December, January. Then you're obviously combating NFL, but business is booming at that point because everybody is home in those winter months watching something. You just got to try to steal them from the NFL crowd. My point is this. September's a shit. Anything after SummerSlam into October, that's hard to create good TV. After last night, I'm taking that shit, man. Trish Stratus alone was fucking just, that Raw moment was just fucking ballistic to me, man. I was edge of my seat like, what the fuck? At first, her music hit, and I didn't even fucking realize. I'm like, who is this? No! She ain't fucking with Elias? This is gold. I'll get to that in a couple of minutes, guys. I want to start off with the way Raw started off, actually. And this was Roman Reigns, middle of the ring. Good on the mic again. I know, people are gonna hate that. Their fingers are pumped again, ready. Roman Reigns sucks. Fuck Roman Reigns. He sucked again on the mic. He was so oh, stop. He was good on the mic. I've seen Roman Reigns completely bomb on the mic. I have seen Roman Reigns be cringeworthy on the mic. That was actually Roman Reigns good on the mic. That might be the best we ever get out of Roman Reigns on the mic. But that was fucking good. Especially when Strowman came out and they had their face-to-face. And that's when Roman had confidence. When he was face to face with Cena, he had zero confidence, and that's when he stumbled and he bumbled and he fucked up, botched that entire promo. But forgot his lines even. That's not even just a botch. He just went blank. He did a Mike Adamle. But with Strowman, this monster staring across from him, Roman picked up his fucking game. And he started putting bass in his voice. And he hit a home run, in my opinion. And Strowman says, you needed your boys last week. You think I'm going to cash in tonight? Because Roman said cash in tonight. Braun's like, you think I'm going to cash in tonight? I know you're going to bring out your boys to save you. And Roman was like, you're basically calling me a coward because I needed my boys last week. But you're the one who was going to cash in after I already had a match. So who's the fucking coward? So they both called each other's bluff on who's a coward. So Strowman's just like, fuck it. I'm going to see you at Hell in a Cell. That's when I'm going to cash in. That's when I'm going to do my business. So Strowman wastes a cash-in by just an actual advertised match. And backstage, Braun Strowman, sure enough, hands over his Money in the Bank lunchbox to Constipated Corbin. So the briefcase is back in Corbin's possession. It never was truly cashed in. Because Constipated Corbin now, guys, can just say, actually, Braun, I was going to make that match for Hell in a Cell anyway. As the GM, Corbin could say this. I was going to make Braun versus Roman in Hell in a Cell for the championship. So now that you handed over the briefcase, that remains uncashed. You gave it to me. Constipated Corbin is now your new briefcase holder. Boom! And I love this new Constipated character. Now, anybody saying, but BC, do you really want to see the Money in the Bank on Baron Corbin? If this was a month ago, hell no. If this was 2 weeks ago, hell no. Something happened in the last 2 weeks. I'm really digging this new Constipated character, especially in the GM role as Kurt Angle starts training more to become a full part-time wrestler, if that makes sense. But that's why Kurt Angle is stepping away, guys. First, it's an upfront vacation, and then he's actually training because he is coming back part-time to pro wrestling, to actually wrestle. But I love Baron Corbin in this role. I started loving him as the Constipated role. I love him in the GM role. Baron Corbin, this is the Baron Corbin I knew was in there, man. And now that he's in possession of the briefcase, and he could easily say, I was going to make that match anyway for Hell in a Cell. So this is still an active briefcase. This is still a live briefcase. And it's mine now. You gave it to me. Why else would Braun just hand it over on camera to Baron? And then Baron looked at it with a smile on his face as the camera faded away and we cut the black to commercial. Makes you think something's going on with that briefcase. Does Baron Corbin hold a tournament for it and try to say, hey, I made this awesome decision for Hell in a Cell. I made this awesome tournament for the briefcase? Or does Corbin just say, it's mine now? Either way, for Braun, it makes him look like an idiot. I'm not going to cash in. I'm just going to make an advertised match for Hell in a Cell. That makes zero sense. But beggars can't be choosers. We finally got that lunchbox out of Braun's possession because that lunchbox briefcase made Braun Strowman look like a little fucking elementary school kid. It looked like he was going to school with Nicholas and they were in crayons devising a plan to retrieve their tag team championships when Nicholas is out of school. That's what that lunchbox did to Braun Strowman. He never should have had that briefcase. A monster doesn't need it. A monster doesn't need to cowardly cash in, and that's what that briefcase is for. For a heel that's going to cowardly cash in at the end of somebody's match when two people are exhausted or one person is beat down and the music hits and here comes a motherfucker going to cowardly cash in. Sometimes we've seen a face do it and we get electrified by the music, but whether it's heel or face, the initial pop and excitement is there. Because we know this dastardly deed is going to do this dastardly deed. This dastardly villain, this dastardly deed is going to do a dastardly deed. That made fucking sense. This dastardly villain is going to do this dastardly deed. In meaning cash in, cowardly, after two men just went to war. That is fucking epic. That's who should have a Money in the Bank briefcase. On Strowman, it was a lunchbox and it needed to go. At his fucking size, stature, and age, his mama should not be making his school lunches anymore. So I'm glad it's off of him, and Baron can do something cool with this. Like say, hey, I was gonna make that match anyway, now the briefcase is mine. I like that shit, man. Constipated also had a match last night with Finn Balor, match number 614 with them. They're trying to get the Sasha Banks and Bayley versus the Riot Squad, right? The Ruby Squad, I almost said. The Ruby Squad. Might as well call them the Ruby Squad. The Riot Squad versus Sasha and Bayley. They fought each other so many times. I honestly think Constipated, Corbin, and Balor are trying to hit that record. But Constipated, this was the best Constipated I've ever seen, man, because in the middle of the match, well, who they have? I think Finn Balor, no, he didn't win, right? I think Corbin used the steel chair, got himself disqualified, referee called for the bell, disqualified Corbin, Balor wins. But this is when Corbin goes to the outside and he totally abuses his power, and this is what I love. He's all fucking out of breath. He's beaten up. He's playing off awesome. He grabs the mic and he says, I totally forgot to mention this earlier. It's a no DQ match. And he gets in the ring. He gets another steel chair shot to Balor. End of days. 1, 2, 3. Balor's done. That's how you use fucking Constipated. That's how you use Baron Corbin. Have some fun with the character. You have this guy who finally literally doesn't give a shit anymore what anyone thinks. You have him in the GM role. Let's have fun with it. There's no reason he should be losing any matches. He should be abusing his power. I love that shit, man. I was thinking, go to the mic and say it's no DQ. You're the GM. This will give you more heat. You're beating their beloved Finn Balor and you're abusing your power. 2 things people can't stand. Love that shit. Now can we move on with Trish fucking Stratus? Because this is what I want to talk about. And this was Elias, middle of the ring, being Elias. Just fucking epic. He's been on fire lately. And last night in Toronto, he was just on his A-game personified. Toronto was giving him the utmost respect. Elias chants, walk with Elias, loud as fuck. And in true heel format for Elias, he flipped the script on Toronto and basically calls them the garbage capital of the world. Not in such words, but basically saying that is the shithole of the world. And he's not going to perform anymore in Toronto, in Canada. And this brings out Canada's own Trish Stratus. Again, when the music first hit, I was so shocked I had to think about who the fuck it even was. Whoa, it's time to rock and roll. And I'm like, what? Keys to the city? That's fucking Trish. Camera pans over and here comes Trish Stratus. What the fuck? Not just interrupting a ladies segment or trying to just sell some buys for Evolution in October. No, they did something fun with her and they had her go face to face with Elias. And they were sparring on the microphone, man. It was fucking beautiful. At one point, Trish goes in a few weeks I'm going to be lacing up these boots when I take on Alexa. And Elias goes, oh yeah, that's right. That's a swimsuit competition or a pillow fight, right? Basically throwing a dig that Trish Stratus only competed in an era of pillow fights and bikini contests. Trish wasn't too happy, so before she does something she's going to regret, Trish just says, why don't you take your little guitar, your little scarves, your floral kimono, and just walk away. And Elias says, I know why you're here, Trish. Just like thousands of other women just want to walk with Elias, but I have to break it to you, Trish. I don't date women in their 60s. Trish Stratus just gave a look for like a split second and goes, all right, didn't want to do it, but here goes. Boom! Smacks the taste out of Elias's mouth. Slaps the yellow off of Elias's teeth. Elias is holding his mouth like he's got a fucking mouthful of blood. When I say maybe not Stephanie McMahon-esque, but Trish just let him have it. And you know it was either Vince or Steph or both backstage that says when you lay into Elias, lay in to Elias. Trish Stratus knocked the shit out of that motherfucker with that slap. That was so cool to see. All of a sudden, Ronda Rousey comes out, and then I'm thinking, wait, Ronda Rousey is going to share the same ring with Trish. Not competing, but they're going to be Did you ever think a few years ago you'd ever see Trish and Ronda together in a WWE ring? I mean, how badass is that? This brings out Natalya, and this, of course, is Natalya versus Foxy. Before we got to that match, this is another one, just like Roman was good on the mic, I feel, and then people are going to be like, no, he wasn't. BC, he's going to be utter trash for the rest of his life because that's just what I want to believe because I'm a negative motherfucker and I'm never ever going to give him credit ever. You're wrong. Roman had a good night on the mic. And you're wrong because I said so. It's that fucking simple. There's just certain things, I don't care if it sounds egotistical, there's certain things in this profession, this business, that I just know better than most people. That's one of them. The microphone is one of those keen spots that I really focus in on. When people are on the mic, I just know every little detail that's going through their head, going through their body, every emotion and mannerism that's coming out of them. I am just a fucking genius when it comes to promos. Roman nailed his last night. Alexa Bliss nailed hers last night. That was one of my favorite Alexa Bliss heel promos I have ever fucking heard from her. It's one of my greatest fucking heel confidence speeches, promos I've heard from any women heel in WWE's history. She came out, Alexa Bliss, last night, and Alexa Bliss was so fucking confident in her convictions and what she was saying. It was brilliant. The way she played to the crowd, the way she drove home her bullet points for not just Trish Stratus, but for Ronda Rousey. Because she is invoking her rematch clause at Hell in a Cell. So you're going to get Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey. I know, guys, whether we want to see it or not, that's what Alexa Bliss is doing. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you guys. Don't hate the messenger on this. That broke a few hours after Raw went off the air, officially, that Alexa Bliss is taking on Ronda Rousey. Again, don't hate the messenger. Or you can hate me. I don't give a fuck. I'm the bad guy anyway. I'm the bad guy on YouTube. So Alexa Bliss drove home all her bullet points. Even took some shots at Toronto. Confident as fuck. Unnatural on that microphone as a heel. And that is one of the big reasons Vince put the strap on her. I don't agree with it. I don't think she wrestled enough times. I don't think she fucking put the title up, obviously. If she wasn't wrestling enough, she wasn't putting the strap up enough times. And I know there was reasons for that, but those reasons were enough to take the title off of her then. But if you're asking why she's in prominent roles, it's because Vince can trust her on the mic. And you cannot say that with a lot of the females. I love Sasha Banks, you guys know that. But you put her on the microphone, and that shit can get cringeworthy after a minute. If at that. Charlotte's the only other one on the microphone that can go full throttle as a heel. And they put her as a fucking face. Now, Becky Lynch just last week showed us that she's got some chutzpah on the mic. Let's see if Becky Lynch can continue that. Because up until that point, it was just Charlotte and Alexa that can really bring that heel heat for the women on the microphone. Not including Stephanie McMahon, because she's not an active wrestler. Even though she is on the website, she's not a full-time or even part-time active wrestler. That just goes to Alexa and Charlotte. They can really be your heels. Carmella, I like in a different way. She's got that whiny, antagonistic, you just want to punch me in the face type of promo, and that works. But when you want to hit bullet points and you got a 4 to 5 minute fucking promo that you need them to cut, I'll only trust Alexa and Charlotte with that shit. Again, excluding Stephanie. And maybe I can throw Becky in that. I have to see more heel Becky in the future. But like you guys are saying, are we even going to see heel Becky? I think people are going to cheer her so much that they might start putting her in the light of the face. And that's horrible. So what I'm asking you guys to do is don't cheer for her so we can see the best Becky Lynch we've ever seen as a full throttle heel. Anyway, I don't want to go too far off subject. I was just so happy to see Alexa Bliss nailing it again on the mic. And I know this is going to bring out the salty haters for Alexa. No, she wasn't, BC. It was another horrible, cringeworthy, boring AF promo by Alexa. Same old thing. Redundancy, BC. I'm using your word. See? She's redundant. Oh, no, your stupidity is redundant. Anyway, Alexa Bliss comes down to the ring for Foxy, and they also bring down Mickie James. So this just gets even more epic. Not only did I get to see Ronda and Trish in the same ring, Mickie James is staring on the outside, talking shit to Trish and Ronda. So we rekindled Mickie James and Trish for a moment, right? There were so many matches going through my mind, so much history going through my mind. And at the end of this match, because obviously Natalya sharpshooted Foxy, Foxy taps out, Natalya wins the match. And afterwards you have Trish Stratus shoulder to shoulder with Ronda Rousey and Natalya. And I'm just thinking, what a Raw moment we just witnessed. From the Elias and Trish Stratus face down, stare down, to the spot for spot promo wise between Trish and Elias. Trish smacking the shit out of Elias. Ronda Rousey and Trish in the same ring together. Mickie James talking shit to Trish. Trish inviting Mickie into the ring to go again one more time. So much epicness in those moments. That was a Raw moment. Watching Trish Stratus return to WWE Raw in such a cool way with Elias. I cannot speak more highly of that whole segment. And again, something as little as just Alexa Bliss doing a little couple-minute promo. Little things like that all came together. And when it was all said and done, a regular Natalya versus Foxy match that would have just flew right under the radar, a bathroom break or a fucking bite to eat, right? Nothing against Natalya, nothing against Foxy. And I know we're trying to move away from that stigma. Oh, women's match, let's go to the bathroom, let's get a bite to eat. But when you're talking Natalya and Foxy, two of the longest tenured pro wrestlers for the females on that roster, when you're talking Natalya and Foxy and how many times we've seen them wrestle, and then you throw them in there again last night with no real reason why, that's a bathroom break, normally. But everything else around it made it one of the most epic moments of Raw last night, because it was so well done and there were so many moving parts. I loved it. I'll move on. Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. Don't even have to overhype this. This match just kicked ass. For me, the first 5 minutes, slow as fuck. Not gonna lie. Very, very slow. I'm thinking to myself, Owens and Rollins, they could do much better than this. And then they started doing much better than this. They just rocked the house in Toronto last night. I think they were attempting to tear the roof off that motherfucker. Toronto was obviously loving it. It was a great match. I really felt Owens could have used that IC strap last night, man. I really feel like that was going to be huge, but it looks like they got something bigger planned for him. Maybe he wants to take a little vacay. Maybe he wants to rest up some injuries that popped up. Nothing too major. We would have heard of that, I would have thought. Before he comes back. Does he come back with Sami Zayn? Does he come back as a Paul Heyman guy? There's a couple of scenarios. Couple months, you'll have Sami Zayn back. Do they hold Owens off till Sami Zayn comes back? Does Paul Heyman bring back Kevin Owens? There's another possibility. I said, I was the first one to break to you guys back on my Amplified booking for SummerSlam. Go back to my Amplified booking. Who did I have aligning Paul Heyman with? I said Kevin Owens. And that would have been a perfect cash-in with Paul Heyman joining forces with Kevin Owens. And after I made that video, everybody else was like, Owens would do good with Paul Heyman. Yeah, thank me for those ideas. But that would be an interesting concept because Kevin Owens is his own mouthpiece. So it would suck to lose the comedy of Kevin Owens, but maybe he wants to go in a more badass way. So maybe he doesn't speak as much and maybe Paul Heyman talks for him from now on. So I know it doesn't seem like the most likely fit. Owens isn't this huge dude. Like Braun Strowman is somebody I would love to see with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman needs to be with this real larger-than-life type of guy because he's such a weasel character-wise that he needs to be advocating for a beast or a monster like Strowman. Kevin Owens, yeah, I'll admit, it does not fit at all. And Kevin Owens, on top of that, can be his own mouthpiece. But let's not fool ourselves. They can be in some cool storylines and have a lot of fun, too. So it could be intriguing. And if you bring back Sami Zayn and put him into Paul Heyman's stable and you create a little Heyman stable, because Paul Heyman used to have a stable in WCW and I loved it. Paul E. Dangerously was his name back there and it was called the Dangerous Alliance. Go back, Google it. I don't know if it's on the network or not, guys, but you could type in Dangerous Alliance, Paul E. Dangerously. That was his name back then. And Paul E. had a faction and they were badass. I loved it. He used to have the Zach Morris Saved by the Bell phone. And he would always use that on his people's opponents, on his Dangerous Alliance's opponents. But you could start a stable. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, add a couple of NXT talents maybe, and have the closest thing that we've seen to Evolution in a long time. But after this awesome match, man, Seth Rollins ended up winning it. And again, my whole spiel was because I felt Owens would have been great capturing that IC strap last night. But it wouldn't make sense a couple of Raws outside of SummerSlam, I guess. A couple of Raws removed from SummerSlam. But WWE felt, you know what, we're just going to give him an awesome match and keep the strap on Rollins. And that's what they did. After the match, Kevin Owens gave his all in that match, too. That's what made this match epic. You could really sense the urgency and the need to win that match from Owens. Owens was telling the story beautifully. And at the end, he just didn't get the job done. So we cut the commercial. When we came back, Owens was still in the ring. He was sitting down with a microphone. And the crowd is chanting Kevin Owens and all this shit. And Owens just wasn't saying anything. Finally, he puts the mic to his lips. And he says, "I quit." Throws the mic. No speech. No reasons why. It's just, "I quit. I'm done. I fucking had it. I know I'm better than this. This is all what you're thinking he's thinking." But he just says the words, "I quit," like it's an I quit match. He throws the fucking mic. Owens walks off. He doesn't even go through the curtain to see Vince McMahon in gorilla position. So they played it really good. Because everybody knows if you're a smart fan, you go through the curtain and you are immediately met in gorilla position by Vince McMahon in all the suits and ties. So what Owens did is he went next to the ramp underneath the fucking LED board. Like he was literally just walking out. Beautifully done. It's those little details that mean everything. I love that. And we'll see where they go. We'll see where they go. Is it just going to bring back with Sami Zayn? Is Kevin Owens going to be a new and improved Kevin Owens? Is he going to come back maybe with a Paul Heyman or somebody else? Somebody from NXT. You never know, man. But we'll sit back and wait. But Kevin Owens, that's a big storyline. That's pretty fucking major. That piques your intrigue, doesn't it? Because we're already asking all these fucking questions. What's going on with Owens, man? That was huge. Sasha Banks had a one-on-one match. That was a welcoming sight. It was against Dana Brooke. Everybody trashes Dana Brooke. I do not. I know that, like Lana, Dana Brooke is trying to improve all the time in that ring. And we saw some new things that she was working on last night. And she will improve, man. She's got the acrobats and all that gymnastics fucking down, man. We see that with Ember Moon. Ember Moon has always put that into her arsenal. The thing with Ember Moon is she's also just a naturally gifted, awesome wrestler. Dana Brooke, no shade, is just not. So she does have to work her ass off. But Dana Brooke has improved. Now she has to, once she gets all of her arsenal in place, she has to work on timing, gain even more confidence, and start going at a much more fast pace. Because you can see Sasha Banks through that whole match. I hate saying this because, again, it's no shade to Dana. I'm saying nothing but positive. But you could tell Sasha had to dumb herself down for Dana's pace level. The pace for Dana has to be slower because she's trying to perfect her moves. Where Sasha can just bing, bang, boom. So Sasha, especially the beginning of that match, she really had to go very slow at a snail's pace to make sure Dana hit everything that Dana was trying to hit. And you could see it. So not the match that Sasha needs to be in, but it is a great improving match for Dana Brooke. So the tale of two, it's the tale of two tapes if you think about it. Two sides to the fucking story here. Sasha needs to be in there with somebody at a much better skill level right now. And Dana needs to be in there with somebody at a skill level for her. Lana and Zelina Vega work perfectly because even though Zelina Vega was wrestling for years before she got to WWE, to me, they're the same skill level. You look at them in the ring and they just work. Zelina Vega in there with Ember Moon is not going to be a fucking barn burner. It's not going to take the house down. It's not going to tear the roof off. It's just not gonna. I like Zelina Vega. But, right now, main roster, get your bearings in order. Lana is the right matchup for her. Over in WWE's fucking Raw roster, Dana Brooke in there, you could put her in there with somebody who can go at a slower pace but make it look better. Like Natalya, like Foxy. They can at least make it look better. Sasha needs to just bing, bang, boom. She's fucking, in the wrestling ring, that is where she's the most confident. In real life, I honestly believe Mercedes, the character that plays Sasha, or the person that plays the character Sasha, I think Mercedes is beyond, and lacks the most confidence. Is beyond lacking confidence. I really feel that way. You could just by her interviews, by what she says on social media, everything about Mercedes, the person, screams somebody who is not confident. But in the wrestling ring, Sasha Banks screams confidence. I'm sorry to go behind the psychology of it, guys, and take several minutes on it, but it's very important. When you watch pro wrestling like me, that's what this channel is. I'm going to watch something on WWE, on their product, and then I'm going to dissect it in front of this camera. So that's why I spend multi-minutes on something that may seem very small to you guys. But I dissect every inch of every match, every second of every match, of every promo, of every backstage segment, of everything. I'm dissecting it because I love the psychology behind it. So Dana Brooke in leaps and bounds improved from where she was 6 months ago, but maybe Sasha wasn't the right fit. Clearly, this was a Banks statement and a Sasha Banks victory. I'm more ecstatic that Sasha Banks got a one-on-one match and not some stupid tag match with the Ruby Squad. That's right, the Ruby Squad. Fuck the Riot Squad. This is Ruby's house when it's those three, man. Because I gotta be honest with you, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan, what are they doing for Ruby Riot right now? I have the answer. They're keeping her down. And I like Liv Morgan. She could be your next 5 feet of fury if she's even 5 feet tall. But what are they doing to Ruby? They're just holding her down. Ruby Riot's way too good to be held down in the same complacent fucking matches. Redundancy every week with Sasha and Bayley. And we know Sasha's way too fucking good. The only thing I didn't like from Sasha's one-on-one match last night was that Bayley was right there in the corner with her little cheesy mannerisms and movement. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh no. Clothesline. Come on. Get Bayley off the TV and let's just watch Sasha kick some ass. Where do you guys want to go? Steve Austin cut a promo last night. It was like a cell phone promo that everybody was doing to hype up Triple H and Undertaker. Mick Foley, Diamond Dallas Page, Booker T, Jeff Jarrett. All these motherfuckers were cutting these little promos to hype up Triple H and Undertaker. They even announced that Shawn Michaels is going to come back next week to hype up this match. This is exactly what we saw for WrestleMania years back when it was Triple H versus Undertaker. And Shawn Michaels had to come and try to sell that match. So this is basically just the same thing. But hey, it would be good to see Shawn Michaels back, I guess, right? A little bit more nostalgia. But if you talk nostalgia, the biggest name out of all those names that did those cell phone promos last night, Steve Austin, cutting a promo, hyping up Triple H and Undertaker. That was badass, man. Austin's like going through the whole match, how he sees it playing off. He's like, Triple H and this, and it's going to be a pedigree. And then he's going to climb up to the ropes, and he's going to do that double edge, how you doing? And then you're going to meet my skull-crushing finale, mixed in with a little tombstone. And then he's going to hit you with the end of days. Coup de grace, and that son of a bitch is done 1, 2, 3. Fucking loved it, man. Austin, I'll even take that. We already know Austin doesn't want to come back on a week-to-week basis. He doesn't even want to show up every couple of months. He barely wants to show up once a year if he even does. So it's good whenever we get Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't care what the fuck it's for. Trish Stratus returns earlier in the night. I got Steve Austin cutting a promo, hyping up Triple H and Undertaker, and I'm in nostalgia heaven at this point. The Revival versus the B-Team for the 80th time. Nobody gave a fuck about. The Revival beats the B-Team. Non-title match. Golf claps. The Revival, I've said this a million times, they will never get over. And WWE keeps watching BC Amplified and going, he keeps saying they're never going to get over. And Vince is like, well, let's get them over. If BC's saying they'll never get over, let's prove him wrong. Golf claps. It's the Revival. Little fish, literally little, I mean, they're not even that fucking big, but little fish in a big pond, right? And they're not going to be successful because they're no longer the big fish in the little pond known as NXT. They're little fish in this big pond. And they have no characters. As somebody who prides themselves on old school like me, this channel is dedicated to old school. What is old school about them? Their style of wrestling in today's wrestling just means boring. It does. I'm telling you this, guys, and I'm the one who, all the time I'm telling you guys, I don't need flips and dives. I love the shit when it's more psychology. I'm down with some fists, some boots, and a couple of fucking high-profile maneuvers. Not high risk, not high aerial assault. No flips, no dives. I'm okay with that. But if your character is old school, back to the basics, today's main roster fan, the casuals especially, are going to look at you as boring. You better have more to your character. Coming out in trunks and a fucking towel that you stole at the local Hilton or the local Hyatt hotel is not going to make you go over. Golf claps last night. I'm throwing no shade at the Revival. I would love to see them succeed. But you better have a lot more than what you're bringing to the table. Because at this point, even if you threw tag team straps on the Revival, where are they going? Do you think fans are going to go ballistic when the Revival's music hits? Fix them, Vince! Fix them! And fix them now! Or else they're just going to be a stale rendition of what we've already seen in NXT. We're going to skip everything else. I think I hit all the main things last night, guys. Into the main event. This was Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler taking on Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. This match was nothing compared to a Seth Rollins-Kevin Owens match, obviously. But it didn't need to be. The story was really going to be told after the match. And it was after. In fact, I think the ending was a DQ or something, correct? I think McIntyre and Dolph just started beating down Roman Reigns because Strowman never went into the ring. He just stood on the apron at ringside after he got tagged. Roman tagged Strowman, but Strowman never went into the ring. He just let McIntyre and Drew beat the shit out of Roman. And when Strowman finally got in the ring, he just started whipping Roman Reigns around like a rag doll. Big Braun body slams, his power slams, throwing him around. Drew and Dolph beating the shit out of him. Roman Reigns took an epic beatdown last night. Dean Ambrose comes to the ring to help out his Shield brother to no avail. And he came down to Dean's music. If you're a brotherhood and the Shield is reunited, where was the Shield? I know it meshes with Roman's music, but then you have the actual old school Shield music like we had last week. Seth Rollins, to no avail, because Dean Ambrose just got the shit kicked out of him too, because by the point that Dean Ambrose got into the ring, Reigns was already down and out, so now you have three people waiting for you to get to the ring, and they beat the shit out of Dean. Then Rollins comes to the ring with a beat-up arm from his match with Owens, and Rollins gets destroyed. All of the Shield that just reunited last week and looked badass are all destroyed last night. Normally, I'd say that's bullshit. That's how you're going to build the Shield? But this is Braun the Monster. And finally, we're getting the monster back. He finally ditched his fucking lunchbox, finally, which he should have never had because he doesn't look like a monster with a lunchbox. And then he turned fucking heel, which he should have been all along because Braun is a heel naturally. I don't care how many people say, get these hands, get these hands, get these fingers. I don't give a fuck. He is a naturally fucking born heel. And he's better as a monster as a heel. So he no longer has the lunchbox. I'm ecstatic. He turns heel. I'm ecstatic. And because I'm not, this is the main reason I'm not upset that the Shield just 1 week ago looking badass and now they're all flatlined last night 1 week later. The reason I'm not pissed is because this builds Braun up to be that monster, and it also makes Drew and Dolph relevant. Because we already knew for a week now, Braun was going to have to get two people. It was either Drew and Dolph, or it was a rekindling of the Wyatts. And you know damn well, if you somehow got Luke Harper over to Raw because Eric Rowan is injured, so it could have happened, a trade of some sort, and Baron Corbin had Harper come over for somebody. But you know damn well everybody would be out there if if Luke Harper came over and Bray Wyatt and they joined up with Braun, everybody would be going, this is stupid. We've already seen the Wyatts in the Shield. This is dumb. This is redundant, BC. Everybody would be claiming they don't like it. On top of that, how would that look for Bray? Bray Wyatt was the leader of the Wyatt family. Braun was behind him. And now all of a sudden, Wyatt is playing second fiddle to Braun. Wouldn't make sense storyline anyway. So now you go over to Drew and Dolph. And everybody claims they want Drew to be something. Well, he was going to be in mid-card obscurity for the foreseeable future. So now what we have is them in epic main events, at least for the foreseeable future, with Braun. Will Drew McIntyre play second fiddle to Braun? Absolutely, for as long as they're in this storyline. But this is going to build up McIntyre much more than he would have been. And this is what you guys always say Sasha Banks is in this tag team with Bayley for, isn't it? Oh, BC, they're really pumping up Ronda. So to have something for Sasha, they're going to put her in a nonsensical tag team. Well, if that's the case, this easily screams that Dolph and McIntyre, especially after Dolph dropped that icy strap, was going to be in irrelevancy. This will carry us into Hell in a Cell. After Hell in a Cell, I thoroughly believe that McIntyre will split from Dolph, and McIntyre going into Royal Rumble will get his huge push. Give it time. Let this thing unfold. Braun needed two people. If it was Bray and Luke, we would be hearing people complain. And if it's fucking Drew and Dolph, we're going to hear people complain. If it's AOP, I would have complained because they didn't build AOP up as monsters yet. So on paper, that looks badass. But they made the AOP look like jokes. I would have really liked the War Machine, or as they call them now in NXT, the War Raiders. That would have been fun. But after this whole storyline, I don't think Vince knows what to do with War Machine. Hope you guys are keeping track. I mean, there's all these scenarios. Listen, what we got is Dolph, Drew, and Braun in the Shield. And this is a fun storyline for me because at the epicenter is Roman and Braun. And I personally love when they beat the shit out of each other because it is so physical and so fucking violent. I love it. There's something about the chemistry between Roman and Braun. And I get to see this for another month or two. So if you honestly hate it, you know what I'm about to say. Sucks for you. I'm loving this shit. And that was your Monday Night Raw, guys. Ebbs and flows? Absolutely. Nonsensical points? Definitely. Some boring moments? No doubt. Could it have been better? Without question. Were there some kick-ass cool segments in there, man, that I fully enjoyed? Was I entertained? Was I intrigued? No doubt there was. So for a Raw at the end of August going into September, at the lull season of WWE, one of their two big lull seasons, right after WrestleMania and after SummerSlam, are some of their biggest drops as far as entertainment value. But I'm okay with last night's show, man. A lot of questions need to be answered, man. A lot of fucking questions. Not just where does Kevin Owens go from here? How does the Shield pick themselves up from here as well? What's Braun's real fucking motivation for doing what he did, right? As far as what he's gonna tell the WWE universe. All these questions, man, I think it's badass. Can't wait till SmackDown brings it tonight because I know SmackDown has some things planned tonight. I won't let the cat out of the bag. I'll let you guys fucking see for yourself. Hopefully it comes to fruition. But they got a little something planned over there too to combat the big Braun official heel turn that happened last night. SmackDown is going to try to bring their own variation of something cool tonight. So I'll shut up about it. We'll talk SmackDown tomorrow. For now, guys, coffees and ass whippings, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. No more fucking delaying the process. Amplified coffees and amplified ass whippings for the amplified man. For now, I will check you, the amp unit, the baddest motherfuckers in the world. I'll check you later.